Okay, so during your lecture, we were discussing about authentication. So I'm just going to go one branch back because as you can see, I am already in 15. The discussion is located in 14, branch 14. So I can go back there by check git branch. I can basically go back there by checking out this branch. So now I'll do is I'm going to run git check out dash b. No, it should not be dash b because it's already uh, an existing branch. So I'm not going to use the dash b plug. I can just type there Spring Boot authentication class demo, and all the files will be restored to that branch. Let me just see what we have here. I think this is already done. If it's already done, then I'm just going to check out the last hash, commit hash that wherein we left off last discussion. Kung saan tayo nagtapos noon, it should be the out controller. Yeah, yun nga. So I'm just going to run git log. I'm going to see yung commit hash na wala pang kwan. I think it's this one. I'm just going to copy that. Just the initial of this hash. Okay, and I'm going to run. I'm going to terminate that. Git check out, and then the hash. Paste it here. And if you are going to notice this, if I'm right with the command, then it's just going to remove everything. Okay, as you can see, it remove it. I'm now into this codes, which is the last codes that we were working on in the class. Okay, logging in with a dummy and hard-coded data. Now, our goal today is we're going to authenticate the user from a list of users that are coming from the CSV file. That's what we are going to do today. So to do that, I already have the app, but before I'm going to do that, let me just walk you through to what we did last time. So this is about authentication. When you hear the word authentication on any application, it's a process of um, identifying, okay, the user by means of username and password. Okay, it's a way of protecting your data. Okay, it's basically a security feature. You just don't want anybody accessing your page, especially if your page is not meant for public and it contains sensitive information. Not to mention, if those data are personalized, data belonging to specific people, you don't want to expose them publicly. You're going to add the feature authentication, wherein a user can log in with a pair of username and password, and then you're going to initiate a session. When we say a session, it's a uh, it's an engagement. Okay, it's an engagement with the application that makes you able to access the sites. When the session ends, pag natapos na yung session, the user has to authenticate himself again. A session basically is created after the authentication process. Okay, you are going to know who your user is, authorize him if he is authorized, basing on the correctness of the username and password that he enters during the login procedure. Okay, so after that session, and then session expiration, and then you have to re-authenticate again the user. That's basically process. So in order to do that, number one, we're going to create a class, okay, that will represent our user. I created it as app user. It contains only two properties. We have the username and password, and we also have to um, create a getter and setter for those properties because they are declared as blank. I also have here an annotation for form validation. We have here a not blank. That is the purpose of that annotation is um, to make this to set a rule on this field during basically during the creation of this object or during the sign in. You want it to be not blank. And of course, also the password, it should not be blank. Username should not be blank. By the way, we should also repeat that for this password. Okay. These are just rules, validation rules that we want our program to consider after after the user click the login button, okay, in the sign in page. Okay? And this is also called server-side authentication. We will see how it's used later on. I'm going to walk you through that process again for review. And then after that, we have created an auth controller. We can basically added it in the student controller, but we just want to be organized. Okay, with requests, okay, request pertaining to authentication, then we just have to create a new controller for that to make it more organized. But it's not required. It's just a convention. It's just a best practice of separating codes or controller routes of different concern. Okay, so we created here two routes, basically one for the displaying the form, login form, and then accepting the data of the form, which they share the same route, but the second route is basically a post mapping. What does this mean? This route only accepts post request method. Okay? How do we determine a get and post request method again? This is how it works. Let me just run this one. With the use of a browser, we can differentiate between the get mapping and post mapping, and this is how it works. Let me open or let me show you a browser where we can load that page. It's localhost 8000. Okay. When you access it via this is basically login, and this is the session ID, and that's just wait. Okay, when you access slash login via entering it on the browser URL, that is a get request. When you press login, it's going to communicate back to the server. It will be a post request because the form, okay, where that submit button is going to process or submit is of the type or of the method post. Ito siya. Kung nakaget sana yan or kung wala sana yan, then ang mangyayari, magiging get request siya. We're just going to deal with that JSession ID later on. Okay? Just going to deal with that later on. Okay, then we're going to, when you're going to click login, you will go to the slash login route that handles a post request, which is this one. So what we do here, we created a function that handles the form submit of the login. We have here a model attribute user. What is this? We are mapping the form data into a app user object. Okay, that's the purpose of that. And then we have an extra at valid annotation there to tell that we are going to validate before we accept. We're going to validate the form according to the rules that we have set in here. We need to make sure that username and password, the purpose of that at valid is to check whether the form data that's coming from the user's end or the form, which is this one, is valid. It satisfies the rules wherein username should not be blank, password should not be blank. That's the purpose of that. This is what we call the server-side validation. We also have here a binding result object. We injected it also there. So basically what we are doing here, passing parameters over this what do you call this method, is injecting dependencies. We also want to depend, aside from this, we want to also depend on a binding result class object which contains all the errors after the validation. We also inject the session. We need it in order for us to um, store in the session. Session is basically a storage. It's an in-memory storage. Okay? It's an in-memory storage wherein we keep in there the current session of a log user. And then we also have the model. This is basically used for transporting data from this method going to the HTML. Those are dependency injection. Whatever you need in this scope, what is scope again? It is a region bounded by pair of curly braces, which typically appears in methods or classes or if. In this scope, if you need an object, okay, to perform any logic or any process, you just have to inject them in here. Okay. Now we have this one. It's basically a check. This is a further check that um, that is in conjunction with the validation. We check whether there is any error. If there is any error, we render back the login, and then we also display in there the error that is produced after the validation process. Which, for example, if the username is blank, this will be returned. Okay? This will be returned in here. It will be carried back to this. It will be automatically accessible in the HTML via this. Okay? This is basically this is annotation for calling a function. Okay, that's just how you are going to display the error corresponding to this field. We can also proceed and copy this one and place it here. This should be also password. Okay, password. Okay. I think we can now proceed to authentication from a list of users that is stored in a CSV. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a service, okay, that will serve the purpose. A service is basically, okay, we have here, I showed last time the list of annotations that we can use with Java. Spring Boot specifically. Service is special type of bean. When we say bean, it's an object managed by Spring Boot that is automatically injected for us without us creating those object manually. Now, service is a type of bean that contains a business logic on a single entity. When we say entity, it could be student, it could be user, it could be anything, any real world stuff. You will learn about that in your OOP. When we say entity in object oriented programming, we are just representing any real world data like a person, a car, an event, an object, a thing in our application to make it analogous, and it is easier for us to manipulate them. Okay? Yun ang object. Okay? So service contains logics. Yung logic nito ay tinatawag na involves reading from the CSV, deleting a student, adding a student. Now we're going to do the same, but what we will do with this app user service will only include fetching from the user CSV, and then place them in a, what do you call this? Place them in an array list, and then we're going to use that to look up whatever the user will enter in the form later on. So we were going to do that. So I'm going to create a new class here. The name is app user service, just like that. So ang pangalan nito ay basically we can arrange this so that we separate those type of classes into different packages. Pwede rin natin yang gawin. Pwede rin maglagay dito ng another package. We can call it controllers, services, and then models, something like that. So we can do it like that by doing like this to further organize our code. I can create another package here, controllers, and all of my controllers will go there. So I'm just going to drag this to that package, and then refactor. This will automatically rename those packages in those classes, okay, without us doing it manually. And then we also have the student controller, okay. Now these things that I'm doing, I expect you to also apply that in your project. It will give me hint if you just copy paste it from ChatGPT if you're not following these practices that I'm showing you. Organizing, okay? That's why it's important for you to pay attention and understand what I am discussing. We also have here models. Models are basically those classes that represent those entities that I'm talking about a while ago. I have there the app user, refactor. We also have the student. Okay, refactor. And then we also have another package. We're going to call it services. Like that. Okay, I'm just going to drag this one into it and the student service to services. In that way, because our program can grow big. Okay, imagine you are how many files, how many classes already. So a way to organize that is put same things in the same package or externally or in the file system that is like a directory. But in the Java program, it's called package. It's a wrapper. It's a container. Okay? It's a grouper. Okay? That's the purpose of that. Now, this app service, we're going to define it as a service bin because it's going to handle business logic. So what I will do is I'm just going to make us quick, I'm just going to copy a code which is just similar to this. Okay, it's just similar to that. I'm just going to discuss with you them individually. So I'm just going to copy it. I have it already created. And paste it in here, just like that. I'm just going to import this because this is coming from a different package already. It cannot find it here. They do not belong in the same package. That's why you have to import it. That's how this is how it looks like. You are importing from different package. If one class references another class and they do belong to the same package, you don't have to import. But if they belong to different package, you have to import them because they do not see each other directly. They belong to different parents already. Okay? And just like that, so what we are doing here is uh, okay. This is something that I want to introduce you. This is a service, and we also have another annotation post-contract construct here. What does this do? This is going to be executed after the constructor is executed. That's what it do. This will be automatically executed. Pag kailan ba nako-construct yung object? Typically kapag ginagamit natin yung new and then the constructor name, right? Now, for example, in the auth controller, we will use this in the auth controller later on. We are going to use this service. Usually, na ginagawa natin kung walang Spring Boot annotation, ginagawa natin app user service, the name of the object equal to new app user service. Then after calling that constructor, mako-call na ito. But we're not going to do the new, the keyword new initialization. We will let Spring Boot inject an object of this class automatically using annotation. Yun yung tinatawag nating auto-wired. I'm going to show you later on. So ang ginagawa ng class nito is we want this to be executed after constructing the object. We are instantiating an array list of app user. This one. What does this array list will do for us? It's going to store all our users. That is coming from data/users.csv. Now, where is this? This data is relative to our project. Typically, it's in here. This one. Okay, that is the exact what do you call this? This data here is this. Okay? And then we will create a users.csv there later on. Never mind this one. I just created that for the uploading. Let me delete that for now and show you later on how we're going to use that. So in here, I'm going to create a new CSV to store our users. And I'm just going to encode them manually. Okay, we're not going to create a registration yet. For admin, it's not typical for us to create a registration for admin or staff. Okay, sometimes it's externally managed. But we are just going to create registration later on for our customers. They can create their own account. But I want you to pay attention closely with the process that we are following para hindi kayo malito kapag sinunod nyo na ito. One reason na hindi nyo nasusunod itong pinapagawa ko sa inyo kasi hindi nyo alam yung step, anong gamit ng controller, anong unahin ko, yung service, yung model. I strongly encourage you to jot down, take note of the process that we are doing. Kung ayaw nyong bumalik na manood ng video later on. I'm recording this basically for your reference later on, but it's very hard to go back to watch a very long video and discussion. Time is very expensive for every one of us. Hindi lang kayo. Hindi lang kami. Kayo rin. Kaya kasi ang dami nyong inaalala. That's the reason why, let me pause a bit. If you are discussing the thing, give your attention to it. You do not know if you will still have time to go over it. Okay? At dyan kayo na-stress. Hindi kayo nakakasunod. Okay? I want you to pay attention. I still hear some of you clicking. I don't know what you are clicking on, what you are working on. But I'm going to inspect your project. I'll see how you did that. Okay? So, data, and then I'm going to create users.csv here. I'm just going to leave it as blank, and I'm going to create dummy user later on. That will be that. And then the same process is using buffered reader. The same way we are using with student service. We're going to read the file, and there's a extra process here to skip the header. But with our user student CSV, we don't have that because we don't have an header for it. Okay, but we can also include it here if we need it. Wala siya kasing header. Pero kapag may header kayo later on, it's important that you have to skip it in that part and not include it in the data that will be stored in the array list. Those are just column headers. Okay? You're going to split every individual row by comma, and then you're going to create an app user object, and then add that app user object to our array list. We also have here a find by username method here. The purpose of this is to look up. It's just a method, a helper method that help us to search for a specific user by username. Okay, and this is just the process. This is the same as how you did it with the search functionality. You are just filtering it by this condition. The username should be the same as the username that is passed here. Okay, and then you just want to get the first result, or in case that there is no matching user, it will just be null. In other words, walang user na merong username na ganyan. And that way, we're just going to tell the user that he is entering, he entered an invalid credential. I'm just going to correct this one because we omitted one closing parenthesis to close the class. Now, how are we going to use this? We go to the auth controller. It's where we're going to process it. I'm now going to replace this one. I will look up. Okay, this one. I'm going to create an app user object. I'm just going to call it found user. This will represent any user that will be looked up in my database or in the array list that I created in the app user service. So ilulook up ko siya. So I'm going to call. Okay, before I do that, I created here. I don't have it yet. Gagawa ko ng object for the app user service here that we will use. Now we're going to use AutoWired. Okay, I'm going to explain you what's AutoWired there. AutoWired is a special, it's again an annotation in Spring Boot that automatically inject a created object, okay, in this context. So gagawin na niya yan. In other words, it's not necessary for us to do it this way. This is not necessary anymore because AutoWired that does the thing under the hood. We do not see it. It's going to automatically create the object for us. And what also happens here, if that is created, it's going to also execute this automatically after that is constructed. That's why the name of this is post construct. Okay? This will be executed after the constructor call, which is called typically after creating an object. Okay? So, in other words, meron lang laman yung app users natin, isi-search na lang natin siya dito. But, technically, wala pang laman yon. Gagawan natin yan later on. Okay, so with this, I'm going to use that object to look up my array list, app user service, that find the username, and then I'm going to pass the value that is coming from the form, which I can access using this object. So I will put in here user dot get username. So I want you to understand that the value of this is automatically assigned. I mean, the value of this and this is automatically assigned to the properties of this object. That's the wonder of Spring Boot. Marami yung ginagawa na hindi na natin kailangan imano-manong gawin or i-code. Okay? Kasi naka-framework na siya. But that's basically the process in the internal of the framework that we are using. Now we are looking for the specific username using that keyword. And then we're going to authenticate it. If user.get username, we're going to change this because we're going to use a encryptor. We're going to use an encrypted. You're going to use an object or a class and a method to match encrypted data. It's important that we're going to encrypt our password, not store it as a plain text. Okay? Now I'm going to say found user, or I can say the user coming from the form, the get password. It should not be that get equals. We're going to use a different different thing. So this is how we are going to use it. First thing, I need to include a library for that. It's called the bcrypt password encoder. Okay, this is how we're going to add it here. I'll just go to my POM. We will go to our POM, and there is a dependency that we need to add there. The dependency that we need to add there pertains to the library that helps us encrypt a plain text and match a plain text to an encrypted data. What do you mean by encrypt? Is this the first time that you hear the word encryption? How about the others? Encryption is you mask a plain text into a not readable, not humanly easily readable text. Okay? What's the purpose? To add a layer of security to that. It's not easily guessed para hindi nila madaling mahulaan yung password mo kasi naka-encrypt siya. Papakita ko sa inyo later ng itsura ng na-encrypt na text. Okay? But before that, I need to add a dependency. So to add a dependency, we create a dependency group there, or dependency, what do you call this? Dependency entry. The group ID is org.springframework.security. Sorry. Ginawa niya. Springframework.security. That's the name of it. The artifact ID is Spring Boot. Spring, sorry. Spring Security Crypto. How does this differ with the crypto that we know with cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency kasi encrypted din. Okay? It's about what do you call this? Encrypted stuff. Okay, after that, we have to click the M there. I did not show you already. Pero kapag nag-edit ka dito, merong button dito na you need to click so that you download those dependencies and make them available here. Now, how are we going to do that? Now, we go back to the OS controller. So, a user is valid if the username is valid. How do we know that the username is valid? We know it's valid if there is an associated app user object for it, associated with it. So, to check that, we use this condition, found user is not null, it should not be null, meaning it is a valid object. As you can see in our logic here, okay, in our logic here, it's going to return null if it cannot find a record of this username. That's the logic. Okay, so there, the found user is not null, and we have to make sure that the password is correct. By using the bcrypt password encoder object, we can create it here on the fly, like this one. Okay, this one, and then bcrypt password encoder. Ang bilis naman kasi nitong AI na ito. Okay, i-explain ko na lang. We are going to create a bcrypt password encoder, and then we call a member function matches. We match the plain text, which is the password coming from the form, hindi pa siya na-encrypt, and then the encrypted data. We're going to use that. we cannot simply use the equals, string equals method because the text that we are comparing are different. One is plain, another is encrypted. This will be the thing coming from the CSV file. I'll show you later on. If that is valid, then we can proceed. We can now proceed to creating a session. Let me just name this as login user. Okay, and then we can now redirect him to the home route. Otherwise, if it's not correct, meaning there's no username, or if there's username but wrong password, we can proceed to displaying invalid credentials or invalid username or password. You do not help the user what is invalid. You do not tell if the username is the wrong or the password because you do not know if the user is actually an hacker. You don't give hint to him that he correctly guessed any username or any password. Okay, so it's just um, it's the best practice if you're just going to display invalid credentials. Let's try this one. But before we're going to run that, we're going to create a dummy username and password. As we know it, we don't have yet any data in our users.csv. Now to do that, I'll just go to student application and in here, I'm just going to create a method where I can generate a dummy password for us because we don't have it yet. Public static void. I'm just going to name it runner. Runner meaning we want to just execute codes wherein we want to see the output in the console in here later on. Like I want to display a dummy password, so I'm just going to do it like this one: string plain password. Let's name it secret. Yan yung password ko sa Facebook. And then string hash or encrypted. Hash is just another term for encrypted. Okay? To generate that, we can again use the bcrypt password encoder by creating an object. Bcrypt password, just like that one. And then I'm just it's just calling the method encode and I'm encoding the secret. You will see later on how it looks like if it's encrypted. I'm going to show something like that. Let me run this one. Run. You will see it in here. Of course. I have to call it in the main method. I'm sorry. Okay. We did not see any result because I did not called it. I did not call it. Kikita niyo dyan yung password yun, no? This is an encrypted form of the secret string. Who knows? Who can guess that? What could be this? Diba? Ano kaya ibig sabihin yan? So I'm just going to copy that and place it in the user's CSV. Here. Username, that's the first one. Then password. I'm just going to name it John and then paste here the encrypted string secret. Save that one. I'm going to rerun it. Run. Wait. There's something that I need to change here. I remember. Why? Because in the OS controller, I changed the name of the session ID. I mean the session, this one, session identifier. It's login user. I need to replace also the one in the student controller. This one, it should be, it should be login user. Now, before I proceed, all of this should go in all of the routes that I need to be protected. That slash delete, I don't want any user should access it because it's basically sensitive. I don't want just any people can delete any record in my database. Even this one, I don't want anybody to create a new entry, only the log user. Now, as you can see, the session is missing here. I have to inject it again in that context by creating a parameter. Okay? For that, I also need it here. Okay? I also need it in the slash shape. I don't want any people can request here. Now you can basically do it here. The injection it doesn't have to be at the end. So I can have HTTP session here. Session. It's just a way of injecting an object because I need it here. These things, guys, those are classes that is given us by Java. Okay? As you can see, it's in the Jakarta Servlet HTTP package. I also need to protect edit. I don't want anybody editing anything in my application. It should be an authenticated user. Later on, we can deal with role-based authentication wherein only the admin can do particular routes and a lower level type of user can just do not so much strict site, something like that. It's about role-based authentication. It's a different topic. I'm not sure if we can just deal with that in the class. Okay, but well, I give you the idea. You can just chat GPT that and learn it by yourself. Okay, and there you go. I'm just going to restart this and go back here. I'm just going to try to log in with. Let me fix this one. Okay, what is that user thing there? In the login, there is this. I don't know how did I place that there. Let's just create here a header, something like that. Let me change this one to be consistent. Okay. Then let's try it. Refresh. Okay. Login. Invalid credentials. I'm going to try other. Username should not be blank. Okay. Sir, bakit may value? Kasi meron siyang autofill. You can disable that autofill if you like by using autofill ba yan? Wait, I forgot that. Autofill. Autofill or autocomplete? It's autocomplete. Should be false. I don't want it to be autocomplete. Okay? Autocomplete. Then false. Let me restart it again. We still have 30 minutes. If we're done with this, we can go directly to file upload. Oh, bakit meron ka pa rin naman? Login. Autocomplete. It's not true or false. It's off or on. Oh, bakit ayaw mo? And of course, wait, before I proceed, I can now disable this because I already have that secret encrypted. Kailangan ko lang yan kung kailangan ko ng data that I cannot generate myself. I need the program to generate it like encrypted stuff. Again, it's not working. I'm just going to um, solve that later on. I'm going to log in. This is not accepted. If it's John and the password is secret, there you go. It's already, there you go. Okay. Let me just change this one also. I want to place it there. Okay. And as you can see, this is only 10 seconds. Let me count. 10 seconds session expiry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Refresh. Napalitan ko na ba yan? I'm trying to demonstrate to you this. It's just 10 seconds. Masyadong mabilis yung counting ko siguro. Kapag nag-exceed na yung 10 seconds, i-redirect ka niya ulit sa login kasi nag-expire na yung session mo. I noticed that yesterday. Wait, before I proceed, I'm just going to edit this. Ilipat ko lang yung uuwi na ako and rename it to log out. It should be log out. And I'm going to move that here on top, there. And I'm just going to add a class button. And I'm going to add a style. Let me have a style. I want this to be placed there. I can use the old way of doing that. It's the float. I can float it to the right. Okay, it's going to float it to the right. Okay. Say, let me just test the session thing. As you can see, it's gone because of that 10 seconds. But technically, session can last up to however you like it, 30 days. It's going to do this 24-hour. Depending on the security need of your application. Now, bank application, of course, that should be short-lived session. Okay, I'm just going to make it 24-hour. Okay, to make it longer. Okay, refresh, login. As you can see, we already have that log out there. Okay, this is still works. Now, let me create another recording. Stop this one and